Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 47.
Shout out to Don, man. It's got to be the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, 47. Could have been 45, too. We didn't give him any burn on that
Exactly,
one.
yeah.
We gave it to Deion Jones, I think.
Give me Bear Bachmar, 47.
Ooh, that's a good pull. I didn't even
Do you guys think he'll change his number before next season?
I hope so, dude. I mean, I don't know. He's probably been wearing that his whole life, I would assume, but he needs to. It's a very brutal number to be wearing as a quarterback. Who was the Michigan one? Denard Robinson. He wore like 98.
98,
for that.
yep.
That's
Called NCAA football 16.
Yeah, 13.
Is he 13? Okay.
Yeah,
13 or 14. I think it was the last one. Either way. All right, welcome to another episode of the Deep Shot Podcast. Packed show for you guys. We just had a national championship. We're going to recap that. Another head coach firing. I think I said on the last episode we could have another one fired or something could happen before. We did in a shocking manner. We've got the AFC and NFC championships this weekend. We're going to preview that. Going to have our last players of the week. And then we're going to have a way too early college football top 10. Each one is going to have one for you to end up the show tonight. Before all that, as always, you got to follow. I mean, we hit 2,500 followers on Instagram yesterday. And let me tell you, a year ago today, we had I don't even think had 500 followers. So to be where we at now is awesome. I cannot thank you guys enough. This is awesome to see support. And look, the content is just great. It is. And look, I'm sorry if some people can't take a joke. Okay, if you really thought Fernando Mendoza and Hannah Cavender were in Miami together, that's on you. Okay,
Yeah,
that's on you. But it was a joke. We've got great content over there. Make sure to follow, subscribe on YouTube. Our YouTube videos are starting to get over hundreds of views. Okay, that means we're putting in the work. We've got great segments. You can catch segments of this podcast, certain things we talk about. So make sure you're linked in on everything Deep Shot Sports. Okay, Deep Shot Award Show as well, February 2nd. We're going to be, word on the street is we're going to have the nominees here soon, okay, for all the awards. And then word on the street is some of you are going to be announcing some awards. So just stay locked in. Big things coming for Deep Shot Sports going to the moon. Okay, let's start off national championship on Monday night. On Monday night, Indiana 27, Miami 21. Can I first just give a round of applause to both these teams for giving us one final good game to end the college football season? It has been brutal sometimes. This game, first of all, did not start out too hot. Miami was struggling to get going in the first half. It was 10-0 at halftime. They missed a field goal, which seems like they've missed tons in this college football playoff. It was a super loud doink. It's 10-0 going to half. And his only touchdown was like a fullback dive. And then the second half, Mark Fletcher comes out and he has an insane second half, runs for all over the place, puts Miami back in the game. But every time Miami scores, Indiana is right back there, the answer. The Fernando Mendoza game, I mean, to put the team on his back. And let me just say, Kirk Cignetti, I mean, he was letting his nuts drop all game long. Okay, first of all, I don't know if you guys saw the clip. He came out in last year's playoff apparel. He was wearing a 24-25 apparel shirt the day of the game, instead of this year's version. That's how much he does not care, just pulling random things out of the closet. The fourth downs to go for it. I mean, twice he has a 4th and 5 at midfield and decides I'm going to throw a back shoulder. Charlie Becker, I don't know if you guys remember, but when they played Penn State, I said something about how this guy has 7 catches all season, had 7 in that game, and it seems like he's just been they can't get him off the field now. Catches everything. Doesn't have a drop all year. Catches a bunch of back shoulders. They call another 4th and 5 to go up 10 when Fernando Mendoza lays a guy out. I don't know if you guys saw. Apparently, the same guy that he laid out on Miami laid him out last year when he was on Cal. So that's an interesting story. But the game goes back and forth. Miami puts themselves in a situation down 3, and then there's a part where Indiana. People forget this, I feel like, but there's a 2nd and 1 with less than 2 minutes to go. Miami has 2 timeouts, and Indiana has to get a yard, and they're going to win a national championship and run the clock out. And they get a false start. Then they have to kick a field goal, which I thought was questionable why they were kicking. Now we're kicking field goals, But they give Carson Beck the ball back at the end of the game, and what does he do? What he was born to do, throw interceptions. I mean, it was coming. I told you guys it was coming. Luckily, it was only 1 this game, but it did hurt the most out of probably any he's ever thrown in his life. Indiana wins the national championship. First time ever in the history of their program. What a story, guys.
What an absolute story. Like I said on the last pod, like if they lost this game, it was still going to be a great story. 15-1, it still would have been a great story. But to put the bow on top, put the cherry on top, just feels right. Just feels so right for Indiana. This has been the best team all season, from start to finish. They have impressive wins. They have blowout wins. They have a good quarterback, which is interesting looking at Indiana next year. I hate to talk about this, but just in preparation, when I was getting the top 10 ready, it's like, where did I put Indiana? Well, what are they going to do at quarterback? But you can't say enough about Fernando Mendoza, because I'll say this. He did not play his best. The majority of this game did not play his best. He made some throws here and there, but you compare that Fernando Mendoza to the Fernando Mendoza that played against Ohio State, against Oregon, against Alabama, he didn't look as sharp as he did. But when it was nut-cutting time and he absolutely had to make plays, he did. And I'm going to give a shout-out to Charlie Becker. Like you said, listen, you're going to see that run, the 4th and 5 run from Fernando Mendoza to win the national championship. I think it's on par with the Vince Young run. I do. I don't think that's even a crazy thing to say. We are going to see that highlight for years and years and years and years and years. The catch from Charlie Becker, you're not going to see that highlight just posted like on this date 10 years ago. Remember this catch? We're going to remember it because we're ball knowers. But that was more of an impressive play to me, if I'm being honest. That was an incredibly difficult catch. Incredibly difficult catch. He basically pinned it like against his body, and he drops that pass. What happens? What happens at that point? I'll say this. If I'm a Miami fan, I would be very disappointed, though. I will say they lost this game by 6 points with a blocked punt touchdown and a missed field goal. And with both those happening, they had an opportunity late to potentially win this game. And to talk about that last play, I don't know if y'all, watched like the highlight of that playback. He had Malachi Tony, probably would have been a 10, 15-yard completion, but it kept it rolling. I'm not really sure why Beck was just taking the shot. He's going to go all for everything with 55 seconds left in the game. I'm not sure why that was his thought process. Because, you get a couple more plays, you can have a much easier shot than underthrowing and throwing inside on a go ball.
Caleb,
Yeah.
what'd you see?
Well, I told you guys coming into this game, it was going to be a staff game. Coaching staff is the reason why I flipped on my pick. I think I was definitely verified on my take there. Just go down the list. First of all, the block punt, biggest play of the game. Could not happen. And if you look at the punt coverage, I'm not a special teams expertise by no means. I tell people publicly that work with me, like, if I didn't know anything in football, it's special teams. But I kind of get it. It's similar to offense. You got basically a free runner, like in pass protection, and he's just obeyed to the punter, which would be the quarterback in my eyes. But the guy that was there, there's somebody that literally was from me to the computer right now to touching that dude, and he just didn't. And he threw a hand up and blocked it, touchdown. All right. Then you look at the timeouts that Cignetti burned in the fourth quarter. And I'm sure at the time, while all of us were watching the game, you kind of question, he's really going to go into the last 5 minutes of the game with one timeout or whatever it was and burn it at the perfect time, all of them. So he burned a timeout on the go for it on fourth. He burnt 2 timeouts, in fact, on that one drive to get them up again. And then they called another timeout after he trotted the field goal unit out there and was like, I'm not doing this. Let's go for 6 here. Thought that was huge. I don't understand why Miami didn't run the ball more early. To me, it was clear and obvious that when Miami was on offense and Indiana's defensive unit was out there, Mark Fletcher was the best player on the field. I don't think it was a contest. You could argue maybe Aiden Fisher or Pons, because Pons played his ass off. But I thought that Mark Fletcher was, without a shadow of a doubt, the better player on the field. Give him the ball more. And it took until the second half. And I understand fatigue and leaning and Indiana's depth may have started to get tired, whatever. I don't get that. And you get drives like in the first quarter. They had a drive right at the end of the first where they dropped back and threw the ball the first 2 times and they were both incomplete. So you're 3rd and 10, then you take a sack with Beck. There's no explanation for that to me. Didn't see the trick plays that I was talking about in this game. However, they tried to get one off on a punt that didn't work out. It's the reason why Malachi Tony caught the ball way back in territory, if you remember. That's a cool look at on Twitter. But then you go to the fourth quarter touchdown. So after the game, Corey Heatherman, the DC for Miami, came onto the press conference stage and said that on the 4th down call, we knew when they get in fourth, they like to go doubles and run draw. Well, that's what they did. He said he didn't get it communicated to the Miami players. Guess whose fault that is? It's not the players. It's the coaches. Okay, so he knew what was going on. Cristobal didn't feel like it was good enough to burn timeout on it, and they just let the play on, thought they could make the play, and you end up having Mendoza having his Heisman moment a month after he wins it. Thought the false start was going to kill the game. That was definitely fear-inducing for me. I felt so bad in that moment. But, the same things became the same things. Beck, interceptions to end the game. I think I read this correctly the other day that Carson Beck has had 6 losses in his college career. He has thrown 4 interceptions to seal the game in a loss in his fate in 6 of those games.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've read that stat as well. And it's insane because you mentioned it. Mark Fletcher had a great game. Malachi Toney had a great game. CJ Daniels had a great game. Like the weapons, the offensive weapons that Miami has leaned on all season long, they showed up. And Carson Beck had like a good drive or two, but he was still like, if we got into the mid third quarter, it seemed like we were going to be one of those, 112-yard games for him again. And he put together a really good drive. I can't remember the score, but they were down 10, I believe, at one point, and then he put together the drive, and they got down there, and put themselves in a good spot. It was every time that Miami was able to respond, Indiana was going to go down the field, and they were going to put their nuts on the table, and they were going to make the 4th downs, and don't get it twisted either with Indiana's run game. I mean, they had 131 rush yards total, but it felt like they were winning at the line of scrimmage all game.
I agree.
I mean, they when Mendoza had to drop back and pass, there was plenty of times he was getting in trouble, but from Reuben Bain and company. But when they were running the ball, they were doing it very efficiently. And I thought that was, the way of the game. Like I said, look. So I said that stat last time about the 4 yards a carry. They ran for 2.9 yards a carry in this game,
and still
and
won.
still won.
And all of us said on here that was going to happen. It's probably going to end up being a loss too. I think it's important to note how Indiana gets to their rushing attack too. They got 2 number 1 running backs, like Hemby and Black both. I mean, they carried the ball 40 times between each other. You can't do that with one running back like Miami was relying on Mark Fletcher to do. You can't even scheme a game to be in that manner. So that was extremely impressive. And you're right, just the sheer level of expertise they show in crunch time. Like every time they needed a play to be made all season long, they made it. And also, I'll tell you something else that stuck out to me. I thought there were a couple plays in that game where Toney got the ball, and in a normal game, I think it's a touchdown. I think Indiana tackled their ass off the other night.
And Miami didn't tackle well at all.
No, and I think that is kind of like the hinge point of the game. Honestly, like when you break it down, folks, you got to tackle. I mean, that's the number 1 key to success in football: tackle and be good up front. Indiana didn't have many like second effort, extra yards after contact situations given up to Miami. On the flip side, though, yeah, Indiana was a little bit lower than Miami on a lot of occasions in this game. And look, Jake talked about the quarterback situation, everything else. There ain't many coaches in America that have gotten a team to bind together for 16-0. In fact, this is the first time that's ever happened. But to get that team to stick together and basically from what you'd call finishing each other's sentences, I guess you'd say, like their legalese with each other is just on par. It's telepathic what they're doing on offense and defense because those guys stay together so long. But they also coach it the right way. He's light on practices. It's a well-oiled machine. I think Indiana's here to stay, y'all.
Yeah.
They are the first-time national champion since the 1996 Florida Gators who beat the Florida State Seminoles. Since then, nobody new has won a national title until Indiana's. Hats off to him, and I think it's great for college football that the result was what it was because I think if Miami ends up winning this game, first of all, I think Indiana kind of becomes an afterthought in terms of this run unless they did it again next year. But on the flip side too, like I just don't want a 2-loss natty champ.
Yeah, I hear that. And let me ask you this. There's obviously a lot of hate on Indiana because a lot of their players' age, the 20, obviously that's the day and age we're in. It seems like we have older and older players anyway. Do you discredit teams at all for having a lot of 23, 24-year-olds on their team, Caleb?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. I think that it's harder to get those guys to kind of gel together. Like when you're that old, you're there kind of for the money and everybody knows you're a dude, but you're getting those guys to play selflessly. I think that's impressive. Another thing to note, I saw this today. Nobody's talking about this. Do you know which team has an average age that's older than the other in this matchup? It's not Indiana. Miami's team was older, technically. Their average age was like 23.4, and I think Indiana's was like 23.2
Okay.
out of starters. Because you got to think, like, Carson Beck's been in football for 7 years for Miami. Like, they've got plenty of experience. CJ Daniels been in football for forever. I mean, then you got like Mesidor on defense, I think is a 6-year guy. Ruben Baines, like a 4th-year guy. Like these guys have been there for a while with Miami too. So, no, I think we go back in all the yesteryears of football. The better teams are usually the ones that are well seasoned, returning production, and have a way of restocking talent that's older because you don't want to be out there playing with freshmen and sophomores. Now, some teams in America are getting away with it right now, like Georgia. I mean, because they played a ton of freshmen this year. But still, you look at the success rates, it's coming down to who's got the most veteran team and who has the highest portal ranking going into that season.
Yeah. Well, what a season. Sad
Can't
to
believe it's over.
sad to see it end. As long as the schedule was, we finally had the game. And I'm like I said to start off, I'm just glad this game was the way it was. I'm glad we finished out the season this way strong till next college football season. I mean, it's only 200 plus days away. We've got 3 football games left. We're going to talk about 2 of them here in a little bit. But what a season in college football. Jake, you doing all right over there?
I'm about to restart the computer. It's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
All right. A lot of technical difficulties over there for Jake. Again, he'll probably listen to this again, Jake. You could figure these things out before the podcast, or, just buy another camera, or, just do things to make your life a little easier for this hour and a half that you're talking.
And for those that don't know, Jake's got a lot of money. He needs to buy something, dude. He spends his cash.
Yeah, and you honestly, you don't even really need a lot of money to get the things that we've got.
$100 maybe.
Okay, well, while we're waiting on him, the Buffalo Bills went ahead and fired Sean McDermott on Monday. I believe it was Monday. What a move! Was 98-50 as a head coach. They had made the playoffs 8 years in a row or 7 years in a row. I don't know the Buffalo Bills head coach history, but he had to be up there. Like, he had won a lot of games. He was 8-8 in the playoffs, but inevitably they, were the team that was always right there and could never get over the hump. It seems to me personally, my opinion is, in college, like when Georgia did this with Mark Richt, like there's, a standard, or like when Penn State's going with James Franklin. I think it makes a little bit more sense in those types of ways than it does in the NFL. Like in the NFL, like getting to the AFC Championship all the time, like that's a hard thing to do, And I'm not sure if them changing coaches is going to automatically get Josh Allen and the Bills to the Super Bowl. Like, you have to look at all these situations they've been in the playoffs. Like, they lost their last game because Josh Allen, let's go, Jake, back. They lost their last game because Josh Allen turned the ball over like 4 times. They lost, multiple playoff games because the kicker misses a kick. They miss the other ones because they can't get a 4th and 1. Like, I'm not a big fan of this move to fire Sean McDermott. I get what they're thinking in their head, and they're seeing the Steelers do it. They're seeing the Ravens do it. You've got to pony up and get it. But it's like, who is out there that's just, going to be better?
If everybody's been hired.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But what do you guys think about the firing?
Well, first off, just glad to be able to see myself. That was a very frustrating last 10 minutes of my life. The little green button, like the thing saying it's recording, wasn't even coming on. It was very frustrating, but I'm glad that got resolved. I agree, and I find most people will agree with this, that I feel like the Buffalo Bills ownership is taking for granted how good this team has been for the last 7 years. I mean, they've been in the hunt. They've been winning divisions. They've been going to the AFC Championship game. They've been going to the playoffs every single season. Basically since they got Josh Allen, they've been going to the playoffs. It makes no sense. I think Caleb, both of y'all bring up a good point. This late in the hiring cycle, the big names have basically already gotten jobs. If they could have gotten Stefanski or Harbaugh or somebody, then sure, maybe. But I still Sean McDermott is way down the list of problems they have in Buffalo. And it gets interesting because today there was a lot of stuff coming out that Sean McDermott actually met with ownership and the general manager before the season started and broke down what is missing from this team, why this team can't win the Super Bowl. And apparently ownership did not like that. And then I don't know if y'all saw this, but for some reason, Keon Coleman got thrown completely under the bus today, bad, by the owner, basically saying me and the GM, neither one of us wanted Keon Coleman. That was a Sean McDermott call, and he's the reason why we drafted him. Why they're even doing that is bonkers in the first place, and he's still under contract. He's in his second season. You got a rookie second-year wide receiver who has 2 years of 500 yards. Is that groundbreaking? No, but it's not like this dude's, like, not seeing the field or whatnot. This roster, this team has a lot of issues, and Josh Allen's been able to play Superman for the last few years to be able to even get them in the possibility to contend. And I think it's just they're this the pot is calling the kettle black right now, and it's just stupid in my opinion. And I feel like Josh Allen has to be upset with this. There's no way he's just like cool with this. Obviously, I mean, Keon Coleman has to be pissed. I mean, how could he not be just to like, what did I do? What did
Yeah.
I do to get thrown this? Y'all drafted me. Like, why am I getting thrown under the bus for this? But yeah, just a very messy situation.
Definitely unfortunate too. You go back and look at the Buffalo Bills, and I was actually talking about this with somebody at work today. You didn't think about the Buffalo Bills when we were talking about the division when New England was in the midst of their run. It was the Jets. And maybe the Dolphins have a year with Fitzpatrick, but like Buffalo was never even a thought. And I went back and was like, I wonder why that was. And the best record they had in the 10 years prior to Sean McDermott was 9-7 with Doug Marrone in 2014. That thing has been built by Sean McDermott. In fact, if you guys didn't know, Brandon Beane got hired basically by Sean McDermott. He was already the head coach, and then Beane got hired to be the GM. And now GM gets promoted, he gets a pay raise in the process of firing the coach who built this whole thing. And it would be different if you were firing a guy that's been there for a long time if he had lost the locker room. But that was not the case whatsoever. Those guys love Sean McDermott. I imagine you're going to see a lot of disgruntled players coming out of that building, maybe over the next year or so, and talk about it. I mean, because this is like traumatic, man. I mean, think about it. Josh Allen's known nothing else Sean McDermott. Okay. So now they got a little bit of a mismanagement issue because the ownership felt some type of way and everybody could get out of their own way with the ego. And so you can the coach that's won more games with your franchise than probably anybody else since the Fall Four in Buffalo in the 80s, where they won or lost 4 straight Super Bowls. So I just don't understand the impatience. It's not a fan base thing. I don't think it's a player thing. I think it's simply ownership having a riff with somebody and thinking that they can, I mean, because their pants are pretty expensive, they can make that decision. And funny enough, seeing on Twitter today, a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans were talking because apparently he's the owner. Terry Pegula is the owner of the Buffalo Sabres too. And he kind of did a similar thing a couple years ago after he took ownership where he made the GM the president and got rid of the head coach and just kind of like, well, you just handle it. Yeah, I trust you. You got it. So definitely an odd situation. I feel like as a Patriots fan, this is great for me because Sean McDermott, you can say whatever you want to, has been a force. I mean, he lost his first AFC division in like 7 years this season. And it came down to like the last game or two. Like it wasn't, he was getting boat raced or anything. And also too, everybody wants to talk about Josh Allen and the offensive struggles. Guess what side of the ball Sean McDermott cuts his teeth on? Defense. He's not even in Josh Allen's ear, man. That's just like a head coach managing personalities on the offensive side of the ball. You got Joe Brady. Now you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, who are they going to hire? They're going to hire Brian Dable or Joe Brady. Those are the only 2 names that make any kind of sense for me.
Yeah. But like the Brian Dable thing is like, yeah, obviously it makes sense. He has a relationship with Josh Allen. He's already been in Buffalo. But like, is that an improvement?
Yeah. I mean, for real.
It's hard to imagine that it is.
I know.
It's weird for a team to make a decision that after they've made so much money to be like, well, we think we want something different. Like this isn't Belichick, where Belichick went 4-13 and like 6-10 his last 2 years, and you're like, okay, well, this 25-year run is up. But this is like a guy in year 8 or 9. I understand that there's people out there, and I've seen this stat all over the place, that coaches after their like 6th year being with a team, there's only been like 2 coaches win their first Super Bowl with that same team. So I don't think Josh Allen is going to prevent you from getting there. I don't think McDermott was going to prevent you from getting there. In fact, I think as an NFL coach, if you play well enough to get to the point of brink of Super Bowl champ or brink of the Super Bowl berth every year, you're probably a pretty damn good coach. It's unfortunate they didn't ever get over the hump. And again, we talked about it last week. I thought a lot of controversy surrounded their runs year over year, and then not being able to do it. But I think McDermott's got some legitimate gripes to have. I think this is the worst team the Buffalo Bills have fielded in the last 7 years. I'm just considering the receiver room. I mean, name a guy other than Keon.
Yeah, and I think to go back to like the Ravens, right? They fizzled out. Like to what you were saying, like with the Belichick thing, it fizzled out. Like the Ravens, they fizzled out this year. They didn't make the playoffs, right? Things went so wrong. The Steelers, yes, they've had the winning seasons, everything, but
they also didn't fire their coach. They didn't fire their coach. He decided to walk out the building on his
That's
own.
true. That's true. And so those things are like fizzling out. And so this one didn't seem like, yes, you didn't make the Super Bowl again, but I mean, I think just going back to the Bills before this guy were absolutely awful. You can go back to like when they made I think there's that clip from when they made the playoffs for the first time and they're all sitting there in the locker room, like going nuts. And that was the first time they had made the playoffs in years. And for them to just kind of rip that away from everybody, like hopefully they got it all figured out. And these owners, I mean, that's what now was that 11, the 11th head coach change that we've had in the NFL.
It's the most in a long time. Once you especially factored in like kind of the, oh my gosh, really? And then you get the Harbaugh and Tomlins, like those are the guys that never left. But yeah, it's a big number.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then like one thing that I've been thinking about is like, how is the Ravens job not filled yet?
I think you got to battle the conference championship rule where you can't interview anybody that's involved in the game because, like, there you got Davis Webb, you got Josh McDaniels, and Davis Webb, the OC, the Broncos, by the way, best friends with Josh Allen. Just wanted to note that in case you ever see any movement there. But there's a lot of good names in the playoffs currently that have not been interviewed. I tell you the name that hasn't. I can't believe Jesse Minter hasn't been hired by the Baltimore Ravens or anybody at this point. I thought he would be one of the coaches everybody would just go chase after, but hadn't happened. So
it's crazy too because there's not a big name out there. Like last year, Ben Johnson was the big name, and there's not like any
and
like
Vrabel.
like any wow factor names.
Like another thing that's crazy is like I could make an argument, you know, he's had his flaws in Miami, but Mike McDaniel has had a lot of success and he's taken the Chargers offensive coordinator role, which is crazy. You're talking about 11 head coaching opportunities and McDaniel didn't get any of them?
Yeah.
He recused himself from like 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
The Browns, he took his name out of the hat.
Good.
Yeah.
Good call there.
He's been there before. He knows what the deal is.
Good call there. But yeah, McDaniel going to the Chargers, him and Herbert, that should be fun, huh? Just him and Harbaugh, the two personalities clashing right there.
And we're going to be interested to see if Mike McDaniel runs the ball like Harbaugh wants him to. That seems like such an odd pairing. I saw on Twitter this morning a photo of them both, like, you know, they wear the odd glass and it was like the two PE teachers that just love kickball is what these guys give right now. Like they're just absolutely exorbitant about their, you know, strawberry mango slushy in the morning and, you know, kombucha at night.
Yeah. What about, McDaniel, you just see him on the sideline with a dab pen. He just tries to hand it over to Jim during the game.
Well, at least it's legal where he's going now. He don't have to sneak that guy no more.
No, dude. Interesting. That is a fun pairing. And then this other head coach news, Robert Saleh got hired by the Tennessee Titans as well. I'm kind of on board with that. I think you look at his record, it's not great, right? He's with the New York Jets though. Obviously that whole thing went wrong. Like who knows with the New York Jets? Like I'm a believer that if Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt in, you know, the fourth play that year, like the Jets were probably going to be a pretty good team that season. So who knows, he could still be the head coach of the Jets if all that went right. But I think that's a good hire for them. I don't know who they're going to be getting as an OC, but I feel like Robert Saleh, you know, for a culture guy, seems like a good fit. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think?
And he's a damn good coach. He's a very good coach. I mean, like at the end of the day, like, I mean, you can look at the 49ers defense this year, every single stop he's been at, outside of the Jets, and you bring up a great point, but every single stop he's been at, he's been able to form a pretty dang solid group. So I
even
think
those Jets defenses were good.
Yeah, for sure.
Really good. Who you think taught Sauce Gardner how to backpedal shuffle like that? It was solid coaching him up the first couple of years. I think it's a great hire. Obviously, the OC locking that down for Cam Ward is going to be super, super important. But there ain't many, you know, more high ceiling jobs out there than the Tennessee Titans in terms of what you could maybe get out of the quarterback down the road. This guy was like the highest paid coordinator in football last year in the NFL. I mean, he's making $5 million for the San Francisco 49ers, so it's a good move for him.
Yeah, big one.
And I will say another thing that shocked me in this whole cycle, and I know there's still a bunch of openings left, I just can't believe that a college coach has not made the leap, man. Like, especially one of those premier guys that just like, F this, I'm out of here. And I know everybody chirped about Marcus Freeman early on, but there's some other dudes in college football that you probably don't even know has gotten NFL attention, and they hadn't made the leap yet. So just interesting to me.
That is, because it definitely seems like playing or coaching the NFL, other than like maybe the expectations. But I mean, you could say the college expectations are just as hard now, but it does seem like a little bit of a less stress-free job at some time. So, yeah, still a lot of openings open. So good thing the Falcons isn't though. Falcons close that thing up.
It's a good thing y'all hired the guy when you did, because he would have took the Bills job in a heartbeat.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Championship weekend. It's here. The AFC Championship and the NFC Championship will start in the order that they are played, as we always do. Patriots going to Denver. 3 o'clock kick Eastern, so 1 o'clock in Denver, which is kind of brutal. But, I mean, the next one's at like 3 o'clock in Seattle, too, so whatever. Anyway, New England, -5.5, over-under 42.5. The stat is the Broncos have never lost an AFC Championship at home, and the Patriots have never beat the Broncos in the playoffs. Does that sound right?
That is correct. In fact, the 2 times that they have played for the AFC title game, it's been against New England in the last 20 years, and they've beat us both times. So, yes, that is the case.
So
We have beaten the Broncos at home before, but never on the road. We beat them at home in like 2012 or 13, beat the hell out of them too.
yeah. So now you get to play against your old quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. When you look like, I mean, coming off last week, the spread is in your favor. I mean, Caleb, 1 to 10, how confident are you right now?
4. I think that spread's rat poison, honestly. It's just a mystique about the game, man. We have never, even Brady himself couldn't go to Denver and win games whenever he needed to back in the day. And some of those teams, like one of those teams that went to Denver to die, I thought was about one of the best teams we had since 07. So, yeah, I'm a skeptic optimist about all these NFL games. That's why I'm sitting pretty at 4, not at 5, not at 6, and we're not going to talk about the next number. I really think that line's rat poison, y'all. There's no way this game's a 5.5 point spread. I just don't get it, especially when you see the pass protection issues that the New England Patriots have had over the last couple weeks. That's the point that really sticks out to me, because I'm just assuming, I already told my buddy Art, who's going to the game, that I think Nick Bonitto is going to have a strip sack on us at some point on Sunday, and that sucks to say out loud, but, I mean, how could you disagree?
Does anything about the Broncos offense scare you?
No, I just think that Denver finds a way to win games all year long. Like, you go back and look, and we talked about during the regular season, they won so many one-possession games and always find a way to grit it out in the fourth quarter to be in position to win. I think, obviously, New England's got to stuff the run game and then make Jared Stidham beat him, and if he beats us, then good for him. He needs to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's how any common sense coach, I think, would treat a backup quarterback in this situation. Look, Denver's got playmakers. I mean, we got to cover them down and make them, be sound in their fundamentals, try and make them turn the ball over if they can, because Denver's good for that now. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of wish Bo was playing, because Bo would screw this game up quicker than I think they'll let Jared Stidham do it. I don't think they let Stidham just hang loose in this game. So, look, we got to play much better on offense. So I don't think there's any doubt about it. Like, Drake May still makes his excellent throws when he needs to in certain points, but Denver's defense is really, really good. I don't think we can live with the same mistakes. I know Houston's is probably a better unit just by a hair or two. Denver's definitely better than the Chargers. I'm just saying that another top 5 defense. This would be the first time a quarterback's beaten 3 top 5 defenses on the road to a Super Bowl ever. A little nervous.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is validity to being a little nervous about this one, because I'll say this. I think the Patriots will win this game. I do. I would be genuinely shocked if Jared Stidham ends your season. It would be awesome. I mean, again, no hate. It's all about the Patriots. I hate the Patriots, not Caleb. Would be hilarious if Jared Stidham ended the Patriots season. But I will say this. If the offense does not improve from what we've seen over the last 2 games, I think there's 100% a chance that Denver's defense will be able to make enough plays and put Stidham in an opportunity to win this game. I really do. I really do. If Drake May listen, say what you will about Drake May during the regular season, he was excellent. He has not been great really this postseason. He has like 2 quarters where you're like, okay, that's the Drake May that I remember from the regular season. The other 6, I don't know. He's fumbling the ball. He's turning the ball over. The offense in general is just not looking great. Really, outside of Ramondre Stevenson, Stephon Diggs looked good. Kayshon Boutte has that awesome catch. But really, just as a whole, the offense does not look great in the wild card or the divisional. So I think there is some merit to being nervous. You talk about if Nick Bonitto is able to get a strip sack in this game. If that happens, you need to be nervous. There's definitely a chance to be nervous. And listen, I'll say this: Jared Stidham, yes, he is a backup quarterback, and I'm not trying to say that he's going to be Jesus reincarnate, but he's not terrible. He's not a terrible quarterback. I saw a highlight the other day of him throwing for over 300 yards and like 4 touchdowns against the best defense in football in 2023. He can do it. It's in there. We were
with
talking
Josh
about
McDaniels as his coach.
with Josh McDaniels as his coach. And we were talking the other day about Jawan Jennings like being like a really good dual threat quarterback coming out of high school. Well, it's interesting because you know who else was in that class? Who else was in that class was Jared Stidham. He was number 1 ranked dual threat quarterback in that class, ranked above Joe Burrow and ranked above Sam Darnold. So just put that out there. Stidham can make plays. He hasn't attempted a pass this entire season in the regular season. That's going to be a disadvantage for him. But if Pat Surtain, if Nick Benito, if the list goes on, if they can make a couple plays to really shift field position, shift the momentum, maybe a defensive touchdown, it could happen. It could happen. I think the Broncos cover. I think they cover 5.5.
I think they do too. Scary enough. I can't believe I said that on camera, but I do. I think so too. I listen, and tell you what else is spooking me about this thing. I don't know if you guys saw this day, but apparently Dr. Oz went to the Los Angeles Rams facility at the beginning of the season and did like a projection. Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's not wrong.
It was but it was Devontae Adams' prediction. It wasn't like
Yeah, but they saw it through.
He
I'm
was
just saying,
reading
listen.
Devontae Adams' mind that Devontae Adams said it was going to be the Rams and Broncos in the Super Bowl. He wasn't making that projection himself. So he's just reading
Well, I feel a little
minds.
better.
Devontae Adams, I'm sure he's been wrong before. The guy did want to go to Las Vegas at one point. But
For the bag.
yeah, but I don't think there's a way the Patriots lose this game. I think what Jake said is right. Like it'd be shocking to me if the Broncos went out and won this. And also, just at this point, it's like, dude, come on. We do not need to see Jared Stidham and the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Like that, we might as well just throw out Drake May, the guy who everybody's been talking about, second MVP all year. The Mike Vrabel story, like that's all cool. Like Sean Payton, let him, go home, smoke a bowl, recollect his thoughts, get everything ready to go for next season. And Art Toledo, he is angry in the comments. So I'm sure if the Broncos win this game, we're gonna hear it.
You're gonna hear it. You should see what I'm gonna deal with.
Yeah,
He's gonna give me a new. I was in his room today, and he told me I had to stand outside to conduct my meeting. He didn't want me in his room. I mean, that's where we're at.
I'll also say this: it's the amount of games he's gone to this year is like incredible.
Yeah, dude,
His parents have season tickets.
Okay, well, all right, checks out.
The Broncos, the tickets to get in is like $450.
Yeah, and he said Sunday right after the game was over that he's gonna be boots on the ground. So I told him I'd wear orange if he'd take me. He said, "For your safety, you need to stay home." So,
All right. Well, let's move over to the NFC Championship game. The Rams are playing the Seahawks in Seattle. Seattle is -2.5. Over under at 46.5. The tickets to this game, $653 to get into the game. Look,
that's for a nosebleed too. That's crazy.
So these two teams obviously are division opponents. They played twice this season. The Week 16 game, which was absolute cinema on Thursday Night Football, the Seahawks had that awesome comeback. They won that. Other than that, the Rams did beat them earlier in the season, 21-19. The Rams having to go on the road for the third straight game in the playoffs is, one of the hardest things to do, and they've survived like some crazy games the first 2 times, right? And I don't think this game will be any different. I think this game will be just as close as the first 2 these teams have played. I just venture on the side of the quarterback who is playing better. And the Rams offense, to the continuity that they've gotten, yes, they played in a cold weather game in Chicago and it slowed down a little bit, but they did what they needed to do. They made the plays. The receiver tandem of Devontae Adams and Puka has just been deadly all year. It's been deadly in these playoffs. They've made the plays they needed to make. Matt Stafford has been here before. I think they have a bad taste in their mouth from the way that last game in Seattle ended. And the thing about what I'm trying to say is Seattle in that game last week, they could have played with one. Everybody could have played with one hand behind their back, and they probably would have won that game. I mean, they like I said, they had a kickoff return in the first play of the game, and San Francisco didn't even score 7 points the whole game. So they won the game when the game first started. So Seattle and Sam Darnold, the oblique injury, like I don't know how fast you can heal from that, but I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit worrisome for him. And unlike the 49ers, the Rams are a lot more healthier team. With better playmakers like Jared Verse on the edge. I venture on the side that, this is a 2.5 point spread as a home team in the NFC Championship, which basically means, hey, this is a pick 'em. And I am just going to ride with the Rams because, one, I trust the quarterback more. I trust the coach more who's been there. And three, like, I just would rather see the Rams than the Seahawks. And we just talked about Jared Stidham going to Super Bowl over Drake May. Do we really want to see Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl over Matthew Stafford? I mean, I don't know what Caleb thinks. I mean, this is nothing. And Georgia Bulldog or not, Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback, and it would be awesome to see him go back. So I'm going to be rolling with the Rams here. I think it'll be a close game. Obviously, the first two were. I'm excited for this one. I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, I'm also going to be on the Rams. For a lot of the same reasons you said. I mean, I just trust Matthew Stafford a lot. I mean, I think he's the MVP. You know, that's already been settled. He is the MVP. Drake May gave it a good run. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. But I'll say this: if you want to, get out, you're muted.
Where is this coming from? Why are we all of a sudden saying this guy's not the MVP? Scott, what, did I miss something?
You
No.
missed a lot of touchdown passes. Listen, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat and say, NFL's rigged, NFL's scripted, it just makes sense for a Patriots-Rams Super Bowl. The ratings would be insane for that game. I mean, put that hat on and understand it. I think we might be set up for a Sam Darnold disaster class. I hope not. But I've just been waiting on it. All playoffs. Like late in the season, we almost got it, and then the Niners only scored 3 points. So it wasn't a disaster class. Last week, he didn't have to do anything to win that game. I think it's coming. Because that oblique, I mean, listen, like Garrison said, the oblique injury is not an easy one really to get over in the span of a week and a half is how long it's going to be, from the injury. And like he said, last week, he didn't have to do anything. He could have, they could have ran the ball every single play last week. They would have won. He was not a single high-pressured pass attempt in that game. I expect a backbreaking Sam Darnold interception. I'll say this. Listen, I understand that Zach Charbonnet is not their number one back. I get that. Kenneth Walker is definitely better, but that's another loss on their offense. Charbonnet has been a great producer all season. He's gone. He tore his ACL. Give me the LA Rams. They're going to the Soupy to play the Patriots.
Yeah, Celtics, Lakers, type stuff.
I really appreciate you guys validating not only my team, but then my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year, too. This is just, I mean, I don't want shouts to me, but shouts to me. I'm just saying this is a hell of a week on the pod for your boy. I'm sticking with the Rams, too. This is kind of why I'm a little nervous. When we all, Mega Max well lock of the year, it's early in 2026, but this could be the one because we all picked it.
Hey, we all picked Indiana. We all picked Indiana in that championship.
Did. I had a message from the Lord himself tell me the night before, don't pick them. Don't pick Miami. I was in Miami for weeks. So maybe it's destiny. Maybe the Rams are the right pick here. I just think that there's one team that Mike McDaniel has not figured out, or Mike McDonald. Sorry, we got a lot of Mikes in the NFL, man. Mike Max, they're everywhere. Mike McDonald has not figured out how to defend the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford yet. Just about everybody else in the NFL, he's had their ass. Go look at Kyle Shanahan, what he's done to him the last 2 times. He has dismantled everything that we all said about Kyle Shanahan because, I mean, he's revered as a top 5 play caller, offensive mind in the league, and he scored, I think, a combined 9 points in the last 2 games against McDonald's defense. The Rams have scored 50 on them this year in 2 games. So, stark contrast. I just think that them going away to Seattle is pretty damn close to a home game considering they flew to Carolina and Chicago back-to-back weeks, had to play in negative degree weather last week. This is going to be a breeze. I think the Rams win it by a touchdown, if not more. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be just because of Sam Darnold. I just think that the Rams are just a better team with more experience and have been here before.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, Rams, Patriots. We want a Rams, Patriots Super Bowl. That's what everybody's projecting here.
Yeah.
And remember last time the Rams and Patriots played in the Super Bowl?
Worst Super Bowl ever. The most boring Super Bowl I think I've ever watched.
Yeah. It was not more. It was definitely more exciting than the Denver Broncos blowout in the Super Bowl.
With the Seahawks?
He snapped it over his head first play for a touchdown.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But the whole game, basically just came down to one completion from Brady to Gronk. Oh, there he goes. Is it 7-3 final score?
You were at that game, right?
The second and third quarters of that game. Did not watch.
You went to the Super Bowl?
I was there working it technically, but yeah, your boy watched. Your boy was in the game. That was
I did
sick.
not know that.
It was
That's
sick. I've got
awesome,
some cool
Caleb.
videos. It's the only time I've seen Brady play in person twice. That was the first time I'd seen him in person was at the Super Bowl.
So you just say you're gonna work and then just like No, I'm not working in sleep.
Well, you know, you get a little 30-minute break here and there. It turns into an hour.
Okay, the second
but
time you watched Brady was what? When we played, he came as a member of the Bucks and played like one
yeah,
quarter?
he played for like a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool to watch. I got to watch him warm up. That was sick. Got to go to Northside Tavern after. That was even cooler. No, I mean, that game, you're talking about 13-3 Super Bowl. Go back and remember what Sean McVay was then. He was like, oh my gosh, the league is toast at that point. Because I mean, he scored 50 on the Chiefs that year, and we held him to 3 points in the Super Bowl with Todd Gurley in his prime.
And it was all Jared Goff's fault, remember?
Yeah.
That's why they had to get rid of Jared Goff. Todd Gurley was
And
in
look
that
at
Super
them, they're
Bowl.
back.
Yeah. All right, Rams, Patriots. That's what we're all projecting. Okay, let's get into players of the week. Well, we held this off just in case we needed somebody for the national championship. All right. Caleb, you have the lowest amount, so you go first.
Okay, so who's going second?
Me, because you won last week.
Oh, there's such bullshit.
That's fair. You can't change the rules during the Natty Champ, dog.
Yeah.
You know, Miami didn't get the ball in the first half and the second the other night.
I'm gonna have to cook.
It's thin. That's why
It
I'm gonna
is
go ahead
thin.
and I'm ready for a good Super Bowl tie up here. I'm going with Kenneth Walker to be my player of the week. He's about the only dude worth picking. Yeah, sorry guys, but let's pull up his. I got this week's game, not last week's game. Give me a second.
Dang, dude, that's who I was gonna go with. Should have known. Should have known.
Or you know what? I got a funnier idea. Okay, scratch all
Whoa.
that. Okay, so for my player of the week, I'm going to clear the runway for these two dudes and just go ahead and tell them congratulations for such an incredible season, good showing, great picks, and they get to duel it off in the championship, so you call it. But I'm going to play in the toilet bowl. So I'm going with CJ Stroud to be my player of the week this week.
Oh, that's good. All right, Garrison.
Let's get this stat line right here. Here we go. CJ Stroud, 20 for 47. 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and you top it all off with a couple fumbles to go with that. I mean, just an atrocious showing, but I think it was so bad, it takes skill to be at that level.
That it does.
He's going to win.
Oh my God. I hope he does. Well, now I feel I don't want to overthink it. I was gonna go with Kenneth Walker. So I'm just gonna do it and we'll let the chips fall where they may. But hold on, I was pulling him up. He had like 3 touchdowns. It was Jake. I think you've got some okay options.
I've got the option. I've won. I
Okay.
won.
He could say Mendoza right now, dude. What do you mean? He could flip on signing day.
I'm not. Dude, I'm not sure if I'm going that direction.
All right.
He's
Yeah,
picking
Kenneth
Charlie
Walker,
Beck.
19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns, out of 29 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns in a divisional round game. That's what I'm going to go with. That's who I was going to go with. And Caleb backed out. Picked him and then backed out. It was a weird scenario right there, but I'm just going to go with my gut.
I think that's a great pick, and I think he had an excellent game. I am going to be going Fernando Mendoza, the national champion, the Heisman Trophy winner, the guy when the chips were on the table and he had to make a play, he's running somebody over, he's juking, he's spin moving, he's diving into the end zone. Even after the game, he said he would take back shots for his team. He would take shots in the front and the back. That's my player of the week. That's my player of the week. I mean, listen, I'll say this about Fernando Mendoza. Did y'all hear the stadium singing Fernando after? Chills. Absolute chills. And then another reason why this guy is player of the week is right after the game, he posted a picture with himself throwing the ball with the Fortnite #1 Victory Royale logo over his head.
That's my favorite championship photo. If you win a title, dude, you got to put Victory Royale over the top of it.
Have to. And listen, he's an awesome guy. And listen, how can you not love Fernando Mendoza? There's nothing about him that you cannot like. Nothing about him. But that adds to the aura. Well, give me Nando, the national champion, the Heisman Trophy winner, the face of college football, the future #1 overall pick. Give me Nando.
I will say I think I would have picked Charlie Becker from that game before I'd pick Nando, but
you gotta think optics, guys. You gotta think how it looks on the graph.
Those numbers, those stout counting numbers for Mendoza in this game suck.
No.
Yes.
He threw for like 160.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
but
I hope C.J. Stroud wins.
he made one of the best plays there. CJ Stroud, low-key might. I think I might vote for CJ Stroud. Garrison, that should be the rule. We can't vote for each other. You can vote for me, I can vote for you, but we can't vote for each other. And I'm just going to vote for CJ Stroud.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
You telling
voting
me
for
you can't
C.J.
vote for
Stroud.
are you saying you can't vote for yourself?
No, I mean, I don't really care. I was just kind of joking.
All right, we'll see. I'm gonna put that up tonight because it's been a little bit of a delay anyway. All right, top 10. Well, all right, so before we get out of here, we wanted to. Everyone's doing it. The way too early college football rankings this season. So why not we do it? I remember we did this last year. I can't remember what the ranking. I didn't go into detail to look that up, but top 10 way too early rankings in college football. I'll start it off, huh? I'll do that. Okay. So we're gonna go 10-1. 10-1. Everybody's gonna take a turn.
Oh.
All right. My number 10 team for 2026 is the USC Trojans. I'm gonna go tell you reasons why. Number 1 recruiting class in college football this year. If you didn't know, in terms of high school recruiting, this is the number 1 recruiting class in college football. They're bringing back Maeva. I think that's how you say his name. Kale, you looking at not Maeva? Okay. Defense, they did lose their defense coordinator, so that's a little questionable, but they were 9-3 last year. They had some pretty good wins. They out physical teams like Michigan at home. And look, when you've got the number 1 recruiting ranking, you're bringing a quarterback back. You play in the Big Ten. Things can happen. I'm going to go with USC as my number 10 team. I've heard a lot of good rumblings about them from people I do trust, so I'm going to be going with USC as my number 10 team in 2026.
Before Jake goes, I will say that I was doing my research for this today. Did you guys know that USC, as of right now, is number 1 in talent composite ratings for next season?
That doesn't
go.
necessarily shock me.
There we go. Makai
I'm gonna
Lemon's not
go-
coming back, is he?
No.
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 I'm gonna go with Miami. I'm gonna go with Miami. They lost a lot. They're losing a lot. They're bringing back. They're gonna bring back Malachi Tony. They're losing a quarterback, but hey, they just lost Cam Ward last year, and he was much better than Carson Beck, and they made it to the national championship. I think it's a team who's shown they can build a roster through the portal. They got some guys to build around. They've had a taste of success. I'm gonna go with Miami at 10.
I had a really hard time at 10. I feel like I left some guys out, but I'm going to go with USC as well as my number 10 team. I just think that the Maeva coming back as a quarterback, Lincoln Riley's done nothing but kind of improve the situation in the last couple of years. I think that continues to trend in the same direction. And also, too, don't forget what conference they play in. Somebody in the Big Ten is going to rumble, and they're going to be in 2 or 3 like playoff ranking shaping games for certain next year. And if they could win a couple of them, just saying, they could end up just back in this dance like they were back in 2004.
All right. And my number 9 team, I'm going to go with the LSU Tigers. Okay. Sam Levitt obviously coming in. Lane Kiffin obviously coming in. They just got the number 1 defensive player, Prince Hill. I don't want to say his last name, so I'm not going to, but he came from Ole Miss. So that was a big get for them. They've had like the number 4 portal class. They kept Blake Baker as their defensive coordinator. They're obviously bringing Charlie Weiss with them. They're bringing a lot of that Ole Miss staff that just, was part of that big run. So I think Lane Kiffin is going to have it going, and he has to, really. Like this, he's got to get out guns a-blazing, and he's done everything he can to make sure his team's going to be stacked up with talent. And I think the LSU Tigers are going to be a lot better than they were this season.
I don't like that pick. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to go with USC at 9. So just a tick better than what y'all said for all those reasons. I think they should be a dangerous bunch. I'll take them at 9. A little bit better than y'all, but just by hair.
Okay, so my number 9 team is going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. I just think that they're here because first of all, if you don't know the quarterbacks that are on that team that have survived the transfer portal cycle, they got 2 5-stars, and they're dudes. Like Keelan Russell or Austin Mack can play football at a very, very high level, and I think Alabama's got the coaching staff in the building. I haven't lost belief in Kalen DeBoer just yet. I mean, he's still got one of the best winning percentages in history for college football, if you didn't know. Still had Alabama in the playoffs. Yes, we did get a beatdown by Indiana, but Indiana did that to everybody. I just think that they're going to make improvements. They're not going to sit here and have the same team and the same identity as they did last year. I think that if they would just look across the state a little bit at what Georgia did last year, and, they kind of had a similar process. You know what I mean? 2 years ago, Georgia was throwing the ball around the yard, and they were like, we ain't doing that shit no more. Let's run the ball, and we're going to commit our entire offseason to doing it. And guess what they did? They ran the ball. I think Bama needs to do something like that. I'm sure they will. And I think that's going to bode well for their success next year. And they're still a damn good, talented football team.
They are. Head spoiler alert, they're not in my top 10.
Not in my top 10.
I've seen a lot of rankings with them like as low as like in the 20s next year. So it'll be interesting. Okay. My number 8 team's Miami, losing lots of talent. Darren Mintz, it seems like everything happening with him, like they're still going to get him no matter what. They're bringing back Fletcher. They're bringing back Tony. I think just this season in general, like is the U back, whatever. Like this season shows that they're going to be here to stay, and they're still in a pretty weak conference. They should be able to dominate it. They should have recruits looking at them in a certain way now. So I think Miami will be hanging around. I'm going to put them at 8.
I'm going to go with Michigan at 8. Bryce Underwood's second year. Feels like there should be a lot of improvement there. I still believe in the Wolverines. I still believe in Bryce Underwood, even though like his freshman season definitely did not go the exact way that everybody was hoping for. He still had some moments. He still absolutely had some moments. So I'm going to go with Michigan at 8.
I will say that I did not have Michigan in my top 10. I even did like 3 first people out. They were not in that either. I just don't know how much the talent turnover is going to become a problem for them next year. I know the quarterback's good, but what else?
They're going to bring
What
a lot
else?
of guys from Utah.
I mean, and I'm sure they won. I get it, but who's in the receiver room again? Who's running the ball for them next year? That's a huge loss.
Also,
I mean,
Alberto
podcast-
Mendoza going to Georgia
Georgia
Tech.
State, yeah.
We were talking on this podcast about how we thought that Justice Haynes was at one point the best running back in America. So my number 8 team is going to be the LSU Tigers. I felt disgusting putting them up here this high. However, you just cannot deny what's going on, man. Go look at what LSU's done in the portal. Their class ranking, point total wise, is like in the mid 80s right now. The next closest team in the portal is got a class ranking number like 62. Okay, and this is all out of 100. All right, so they're smoking the field on portal talent right now. Haynes brought a lot of really good pieces from LSU or from Ole Miss. He did not get Kejuan Lacey. However, he got a lot of other good ones. He's probably about to get Jordan Seaton. If that hasn't already happened, he's still active in the portal and going to get probably the rest of the good players in that thing. Lane wins. You can say whatever you want to, whether it goes well at the end of the season or not. He's going to beat more teams than he don't. He's going to outcoach more teams than he don't. Sometimes he's going to do some dumb shit to lose a game for him, but I fully expect LSU to be playoff competitive again next year. And I think they hit on the quarterback in the transfer portal. That's something that's going to come up later when we talk about who's in my first out.
Okay. Number 7, I'm going with Texas Tech. I'm not too big on Brendan Sorsby being the new quarterback. I'll say that, but they didn't have that great of a quarterback this year. They were still really dominant. They are still spending as much oil money as they can in the portal. I think they're the number 1 class in the portal right now. So they'll be around. They're in the Big 12. I just don't expect them to, like Arizona State last year. It was kind of like they got in and they were 11-2, and they had like a couple good players. Like Texas Tech plays good team football, and I think with the Big 12 schedule, I'm pretty sure they still don't play anyone good outside the Big 12 next year either. So I think they'll run through the Big 12. They'll be in the top 10 again.
I was flirting with them at my 10, and I did not put Texas Tech in my top 10. I did not. I was very much thinking about it. But for number 7, I'm going to go with LSU. Every reason that y'all have already said so far. I think they're going to be able to compete for the SEC. I think they'll be able to compete for a really high playoff spot. I think it's going to be a really good team. It's going to be really well coached. Sam Levitt, I mean, we know he has a lot of talent. We know that Kiffin's going to be able to get the most out of him. I think LSU is going to be a wagon.
All right, so my number 7 is going to be Miami. I'm putting them up here that high. If you call that high for a team that was just in the national championship, go look at what Mario Cristobal's been doing with Miami since he got there. Every year he's won more games than he did the previous year. And, some people will be like, well, the last 2 years he won 10 games. No, he didn't. He was in the national championship game. So I think they'll do nothing but improve somewhat. It's going to be hard to really recover the 1 or 2 talent pieces. Like Miami, here's what I mean by that. Miami's got 2 or 3 players on defense that are like first round talents. Okay, I don't know if there's going to be a first round talent pop up next year. With Cristobal the way it's been going, though, the answer is probably going to be yes. If there's not, though, they're going to be good. They've been great in recruiting, and they've played good football here. It's like nobody knew about Malachi Toney last year. He's going to be back on the team next year, and I bet you Miami's got somebody in the wings that is just as good as that kid that's coming in from that part of the world, because we know what South Georgia football looks like, or South Florida football looks like. When it translates to the next level, it's good. And I think they're going to continue to. And also, by the way, if they pull off this Darian Mensah situation, they improved at quarterback.
Yeah. I agree. All right, number 6, I'm going with the Oregon Ducks. Obviously, bringing Dante Moore back.
Wow.
They are
that low? Wow.
All right, they are bringing Dante Moore back. They have 5 5 stars coming in their recruiting ranking. Look, they've been around every year. Dan Lanning's been there. I do think in terms of the Big Ten, they're not one of the top 2 for me. So I think this is where I'm going to comfortably put them at 6. I think they're comfortably in the top 10, at least 10 to 11 wins next year, probably again. I think Oregon's going to be here to stay, and hopefully Dante Moore progresses as we see. But I think Oregon's going to be around.
And now you got me rethinking where I put Oregon. I'm gonna go Indiana at 6. They're losing some
What?
good
What? That
y'all
low?
saying what low?
Oh, did you not just see what they did the last? They've lost 1 game in 2 years.
They lost for an enemy. They've lost 2 games last year.
2 games. Bad math, Caleb.
They are losing Fernando Mendoza, and that was a really big piece of it. I'm not ranking them outside the top 10. I'm giving them the number 6 team in the country. The 5 teams I have in front of them, I just think I'm a little bit more confident in next year. I have full belief in Kirk Cignetti. That's the reason I'm not dropping them out. Most teams, when they lose the number 1 pick in to the NFL draft, and they have an average age where they're losing a lot of players, they're going to drop a lot more than number 1 to number 6. I feel like I'm giving them good respect keeping them at 6. Move on. Hoosiers at 6.
I've got the Ducks at 6 as well. I just think that
y'all are gonna hate my ranking. Y'all are gonna hate this.
I just think like Dante Moore coming back is a positive, yes, but is he game-changing, game-breaking next year? We'll see if he takes that development leap. If not, don't necessarily know what it really looks like for them. I know they're going to have good players. I know they're going to be staunch on defense. They're going to play well in the big games, but yeah, I think the 5 teams in front of them are pretty damn good.
All right, my number 5 is going to be Texas. I'm going with Arch Manning, Cam Coleman, which is, a absolute huge get. Like, Texas lost Parker Livingstone, I think that's maybe how you say his last name, to Oklahoma this year. But, you can't upgrade harder than Cam Coleman. Maybe it makes sense why he left. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, they're also bringing in Will Muschamp as their defensive coordinator, which I think is going to make leaps and bounds, and they already had a really good defense last year. We saw Arch Manning get good towards the end of the year. I think he's going to comes out guns a-blazing, whole year under his belt. Texas has to win. I think they'll be back ready to go. So I got Texas at 5.
Don't kill me, please. I got Notre Dame at 5. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I was like getting ready to get stoned right there. I think Marcus Freeman's a heck of a coach. I think CJ Carr showed us some things down the stretch. I think he's a solid quarterback. He's got a whole freshman season of experience. I think he'll be better next year. Now there's going to be some key, plugs. Like, what are we going to do with Jeremiah Love? That's going to be a key thing that they have to work on. But I think that Marcus Freeman recruits well enough. I think they're going to be good enough. I have them in top 5.
I've got Texas as 5 as well. And the name that I wanted to say, going with you, Garrison knows ball. It's Will Muschamp. He's going. That unit's going to be good. Like, Pete Kwiatkowski did some really good things with Texas over the last couple of years, but Sark got to the point that he was worrying about defense at the end of this year because they were so susceptible on that side of the ball. Those days are over. I think Arch, he could be the best quarterback in the country next year. I think there's a clear and obvious path for that to actually happen. You're just talking about the development that the kid had. We saw him in Ohio State. And go look at him in the season. He's like 5 touchdowns, 1 rush, and 365 yards. Like, he's turning it loose against good football teams too. So I think Texas is going to be just fine going into next year.
Agreed. All right, I got Notre Dame at 4. Look, they probably won't lose next year. The way their schedule's set up, they play Miami. That'll probably be their hardest game, but they get that one at home. They have 4 5-stars coming in their recruiting class. They have a vengeance. Watching Marcus Freeman on College Game Day or the other day before National Championship, guy's just an easy guy to like. It's a shame he's head coach of Notre Dame, but I think Notre Dame, just based on the talent profile that they have, the vengeance that they will have going into next year, I don't see them losing a game probably. So I think I got them at number 4. I'm not going to give them the respect, though, because they're not in the conference.
Yeah, fair. They should just join a conference. At number 4, I have Texas. A lot of the reasons I've already touched on. Caleb says he thinks that Arch Manning's the best quarterback in football. I'm just going to say I think we were a year early on Texas. I think what we expected out of Texas this year is what we're getting out of Texas this year. Sark, Muschamp, Arch. They got some good transfers coming in. Give me Texas. I think Texas is going to be a real threat this year.
This is where I've got Indiana at. I've got them at 4. I think it's still a respectable number. Obviously, college football buy if you go by the date and times of how we live in the sports world nowadays. They're losing a lot. Let's not get it twisted. They're going to lose senior leadership is the main thing I think they're losing. Like, people can talk about the players as much as they want to. There's players out there that are talent-wise just as good as the guys that Indiana just lost, and they're probably in their portal class this year or in their recruiting class last year. I think they're going to be fine in replacing, the playability part of it. The leadership and getting it to jail is the only reason why I put them at 4, not number 1. Because Cignetti's done it. We've seen it, but these are guys that he cultivated 3, 4, 5 years ago. There ain't much more of that lingering around that building anymore. They've got a really solid quarterback situation. I just think that the coaching expertise and him maintaining his staff for the most part, he did lose his strength coach, which is huge. But everybody else, just about as far as I've seen, is staying. So having continuity in that department and maybe, a year later on schemes, maybe the game catches up to you. I just think that they're not going to be 16-0 like they were this year, but they could get really, really close. I think they're cream of the crop of the Big Ten at this point for this season, just about.
All right, at number 3, I got Ohio State, bringing back Jeremiah Smith, obviously bringing back Julian Sayin. They're bringing back a lot of nucleus of that team. I think they'll be back. They'll be, probably a little bit improved on offense. They really stalled out, obviously, at the end of the year between Indiana and the Miami game. I think they'll learn from that. They've got a big game at Texas in like week 2 next season, so we'll really learn a lot about them. That'll be a fun game. But look, it's hard to think Ohio State outside of the top 5 like ever, really. So you just got to tip your cap to them. I think Ohio State will be right in the thick of it, just as they always are. I got them at number 3.
Yeah, I think this is the first one that I've agreed with anyone. Like that we've just gotten right. I also have Ohio State at 3. For all those reasons, they're returning basically everyone. All the people that matter. They're coming back. I think Sayin will be a lot better. I think we're going to see a crazy year out of Jeremiah Smith, 3rd year in college. I was tempted to put Ohio State at 2, but I couldn't do it.
Well, that makes 3 of us. I've got Ohio State 3 as well. Me and Gerson have been in lockstep for 4 picks now, so we'll see if we can make it the last 2. I'm sure we're different.
No, you didn't know. Who did you have it for?
Indiana, right?
No, who'd you have? I have Notre Dame. So we switched it up a little bit, making the graphic a little difficult. Okay, my number 2 team is Georgia. Look, Gunnar Stockton is back. This was a young team, a very young team, and they played a lot of close games. I think they've meshed together through that. Look, we're losing guys like C.J. Allen. I get it. Some offensive linemen like Monroe Feeling or Free, I don't even know how to say his last name. But they're bringing back Nate Frazier. I know they lost Branch. They're bringing back Lawson Lucky. They're bringing back important pieces of this team. And they lost, out of any SEC team, they lost the least amount of players to the portal. Okay, guys like KJ Bolden are coming back. Guys like Ellis Robinson are coming back. Guys that buy into the culture. And look, Kirby Smart's going to have this team ready to go. The 9-game SEC schedule is going to be interesting. We don't really have anything outside of the SEC next year on the schedule, so all disrespect to Georgia Tech. So I think we'll be right back on it. I think we're the back-to-back SEC champs. I think we'll be the cream of the crop of the SEC again. Yeah, I got Georgia at 2.
I'm so confused on who you're going to put at number 1. Like I'm like looking at my list, and I'm like, who is Garrison's number 1? I guess I can't remember who
keep
you
going.
have or have.
Good. I think I know who it is.
I got the Dogs at number 2 as well. Wanted to put them at 1, couldn't do it. A lot of the reasons he said. Losing Zachariah Branch is scary to me because a lot of what? Why are you looking confused?
Who are you putting at 1?
You know who I'm putting at 1. Zachariah Branch leaving scares me. In a lot of situations, he was our offense. It was 3rd and 12, quarterback, just screen pass. He picks up a first down. So I got the Dogs at 2.
I've got Georgia at 2 as well. I think that when you talk about Kirby keeping his own guys in his building and being able to use that whole offseason to build the team up, man, I think that is an incredible recipe for success. And you get the quarterback to come back, he's going to be better. I think Georgia's going to be excellent.
Okay, so we're going to have 3 different number 1s. I think I know what everybody's is. Look, this is respect. Indiana, number 1 for me. Look, I know
I thought you already put Indiana.
I have not. So I put Indiana as number 1. I know they're losing a lot, but how can you doubt? I don't doubt anymore. It's hard for me to do it. Josh Hoover is probably going to be the quarterback from TCU next season. There's a lot of the guys that are older that are leaving. We've talked about how they have one of the best portal classes coming in. They're getting the more talent. They're going to have so much money backing everything. They have another easy schedule. It's far-fetched for me to see them really losing. Like they play Ohio State next year, I believe, in the regular season. So that'll be fun to watch. I think it's mid-season, so they should be kind of have everything figured out by then. I don't have any doubts that Indiana will probably be right there again. I mean, it's hard for me to go against them right now. And so it's really just about respect. And that's what I'm doing. I'm stamping the respect on Indiana. for number 1 next year.
And good for you. I truly thought you already placed them. So Indiana was out of my head, and I'm looking up and down my top 10. I was like, is this dude about to put Texas A&M at number 1? I
Out of
was
my
very
top 10. Out of my
Yeah.
top.
My number 1, I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks. I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks.
Insane.
I think they're going to be a problem next year. They have one of the youngest rosters in all of college football this year. One of the youngest in all college football. They are returning basically at the entire team. It's another year of Dan Lanning. It's another year of Dante Moore. I think it's Dante Moore, Arch Manning, and I think everyone else. I think everyone else at that point. I think we're going to see a fully loaded Dante Moore next year, and I think the Oregon Ducks are going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with. I think this is going to be the best Oregon team that Dan Lanning has been able to coach, and I have them as my number 1 team in the country.
Well, the pick that was going to get anybody stoned is mine right here. I'm putting Notre Dame at 1. I just think that the schedule sets up for them to not lose, and they're a really good team. Really, really good team. The quarterback's going to be, if anybody's going to rival Arch Manning on best quarterback in my mind going into next year, it's either Sam Leavitt or him. And I'm saying Sam Leavitt. That's probably going to get more riled up than people letting me pick Notre Dame at 1. I just think any quarterback for Lane Kiffin is going to be incredible. Notre Dame is going to be fine. I mean, think about what they had to endure this year in order to have them have heartbreak, and we don't know what they were like in the postseason. I think they would have won a couple games, personally. Could have been on the same similar run as Miami did, but we got that taken away from us because they had 2, close losses to really good playoff football teams at the beginning of the season, and it booted them out. I think they're going to beat Miami in Miami next year. It's early, okay? So there's a lot to be shaken out or seen, but that game was close in Miami, and I don't know if it's going to be too far-fetched to say Notre Dame's not like a 3 or 4.5 point favorite in that game next year. I think that if they win the big one, like if they get the big games that are on their schedule, I think the rest of them just going to about take care of themselves like they did this year. You're looking at a 12-0 team undefeated going into the playoff.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the top 10s. Any first team outs you guys want to put down?
My teams out were A&M and Texas Tech. Those are my 2.
Those are the 2 I had listed as well. And the reason why I didn't put Texas Tech in my top 10, I told you guys I was come back to the quarterback thing. I don't think Sorsby's going to stick for Texas Tech. I just really don't think that highly of him. I understand the team's going to be good. They spent a bunch of money. They'll be fine everywhere else. But we just saw it this year. Like, what is going to let them down? I think this is a bold take. I think the guy they had this year might have been, for a totality, you're talking about the leadership, knowing what to do, might be better than Sorsby will be next year. That's my personal feeling. And I know he's the number 1 quarterback, 5-star, this and that. I don't buy it. I had them out, I had A&M out as well, but A&M would have been the team that I would have put USC between them. Like, it was kind of a toss-up. I wish they would have moved on from Marshall Reed somehow or another. I'd feel a lot better about A&M. And then BYU is the other one that I think should probably be noted. They've got a ton of returning production next year, which got us last time, but I think you got a different coach in Sataki than you did the other guy.
Yeah. I had Oklahoma as one of mine. Bringing back Mateer. Defense is probably still going to be just as good with Venables. I think they can build off. I think last year was huge for them to be able to go on the run that they did have, and I just think they'll build off of that and be a fringe playoff team again. And I also had A&M for all the reasons. It's hard to think, like, just based on what they had. Like, I know everyone talks about the schedule, but I think A&M is shown now that they can do it. And I believe that, 10 wins next year, which is probably going to be good enough to be putting you right outside the top 10. Okay. Well, that will wrap it up for episode 47. Great show. Awesome show. Reminder, follow on everything. Subscribe to the YouTube. We will be back on Sunday to talk about the championship games and whatever else happens. Maybe some new coaches will be hired. Who knows? We'll find out. For Caleb, for Jake, I'm Gary. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Deep Shot out.